Hey guys, it's time for another edition of Designer's Notes. This time we're going to look at the Hunters, German U-boats at war, 1939 to 43. This is a game by Consim Press, a subsidiary of GMT Games. Designer is Gregory Smith. Artist for this game is John Krantz, Roger B. McGowan, and Ian Wedge. This is a solitaire tactical level game placing you in command of a German U-boat during World War II. Your mission is to destroy as much Allied shipping and as many capital ships as possible while advancing your crew quality and increasing your commander rank, culminating in special decoration, all while remembering you have to make it home. The Hunters is purposely designed to deliver a brisk yet intensive gaming experience that forces many decisions upon you, as you will take command among the major German U-boat models in service during World War II and try to complete an entire tour. Those familiar with the classic Avalon Hill game title B-17 Queen of the Skies will come to enjoy the same type of gaming experience of the German U-boat war. All major U-boat models are accounted for, with every level of detail including period of service, armaments, crew makeup, damage capacity, and more. And I will add that this game was, says, the best solitaire game of 2013 according to the One Player Guild Gaming Awards. It was also a 2013 Golden Geek Best War Game nominee. This is the first game in a series of similar games that include Silent Victory, The Hunted, and I believe now Beneath the Med. So I have played this and enjoyed it thoroughly. I would add that this is more along the lines of a simulation than a game. And while not perfect, I would add that it is very close. The rules are very tight. This thing is locked down. There's not going to be a lot of ambiguities or head scratchers in this thing. Just uh, a lot of fun. So, with the designer's notes, if we could look at those, it's not too lengthy, but there's a little bit that our designer had to say about the game. And we'll begin thusly. The Hunter's design evolved into a journey of discovery. As many interesting changes surfaced throughout the entire process. Extensive playtesting cleaned up inconsistencies, and we played and ultimately battened down the hatches with a solid and stress-tested design, and I would agree with that. I originally came upon the concept of this game after playing B-17 Queen of the Skies. I began to ponder if a similar approach could be applied to the U-boat war. The key difference, other than the fact that U-boats don't fly, was that I wanted the player as the U-boat commander to be confronted with a continuous stream of decisions as opposed to just having a solitaire game that resembled Dice Olympics. Additionally, I felt it was important to weave role-playing elements into the game by presenting players with a narrative to become emotionally vested in wanting to complete a successful tour of duty. Hence the inclusion of the awards, promotions, and crew quality rules that help bring such role-playing aspects to life. We have also included the performance of the top 10 rated German U-boat commanders so you can contrast their historical achievements with your own. A key design focus was to make the game playable without sacrificing historical accuracy. Easier said than done, but I feel the design has struck a nice balance in this regard. One of the most challenging aspects of the design was preserving the historical feel while refining the design so that the Hunters can easily be played without compromising the game experience with complex subsystems and rule mechanics. In summary, the design goal is to allow players to focus on the decision-making aspects of the game rather than becoming hamstrung with overwrought mechanics and procedures. One of the pleasant surprises that came out of testing was the two-player game. Simply put, we're having a blast, despite the fact that the game is designed primarily as a solitaire game, having both players running a boat while concurrently rolling for the other player's escorts became a competition in and of itself, and works extremely well in practice. For this reason, don't get hung up if you have a little interest in solitaire games. I can assure you that this game stands in its own right and shines as a two-player game. With the aforementioned design focus in mind, certain aspects of the early U-boat conflict, such as Type 2 U-boats, were deferred to keep the overall scope of the game manageable and centered on the two major classes of German U-boats. We simply can't account for every minute detail of the war without blowing up the scope of the game. For example, a friend wanted me to include the Type 2s that had been disassembled, barged, and trucked to the Black Sea where they were reassembled and put into action against Russian shipping. While it makes for an interesting facet of U-boat operations, I felt it didn't really flow with what I was trying to accomplish with the Hunters and faithfully recreating the mainstream action of the war. Trying to account for every single historical event that occurred during the first 3 years of the war is equally a challenge, but you will find quite a few of these covered with the random events. Some may ask why the game extends only through the first half of 1943. Why not let the U-boat commanders go the distance? There are several reasons for this. First and foremost, the design goal was again to keep the game simple yet challenging and playable. To extend the time frame through 45 would have added significant overhead in terms of additional rules and charts. Also, the technological changes that occurred resulted in a much different type of U-boat war. It was an extremely difficult and lethal phase, as U-boats were being slaughtered by the combination of Allied aircraft, sonar, and radar. Conversely, the U-boats themselves greatly improved with the advent of homing torpedoes, bubble-making decoys, schnorkels, and the like. The 1943-45 period was significantly different and is therefore better suited to a dedicated treatment in a later game rather than try to jam it all into a single package. In conclusion, I hope your experience as much fun playing the Hunters as we had creating it. Hals and Beinbruch break a leg. This was by Gregory Smith. If you're also interested in the subject, I would recommend, as does the designer, a book by Blair Clay, Hitler's U-Boat War, The Hunters, 1939 to 42. I would also recommend by the same author, Hitler's U-Boat War, The Hunted, 1943 through 1945. There's another book by Kenneth Wynne, U-Boat Operations of the Second World War, Volumes 1 and 2, as well as The World's Merchant Fleets, 1939, The Particulars and Wartime Fates of 6,000 Ships, by Roger Jordan. This would be from the Naval Institute Press, as was the one that preceded this title. And we have finally something by David Miller, U-Boats, The Illustrated History of the Raiders of the Deep. So there's some books for you if you are interested in the subject. Thank you for listening. This has been Designer's Notes, The Hunters. Stay tuned for another edition of Designer's Notes in the near future.